Good evening everyone and welcome to TTML Division 1. We are here for Season 3, Round 8 of the Championship as we take in the Singapore Grand Prix from, well, Singapore. There we are, yeah. This is not the greatest introduction to a Division 1 stream at all. My name is James A. Going to be taking you through the stream as your lead commentator here tonight. And as you heard from that sniggering laugh in the background, Luke Etheridge is not here, but a wild Scotsman is. Good evening, Daniel Hoggard.
Thank you very much, James, yet again. Well, real pleasure to be here for the first time covering TTML D1. Can't wait to get this one started then as we get ever deeper into the season. Yeah, very unfortunate that Luke and also Tom, who usually runs the stream, can't be here tonight. So we are somewhat compromised, I'd say, from multiple angles, but hopefully we can put on a great show then. We should have a great race in front of us then. We're building up to the lobby. Singapore in front of us. Let's get into the 8th round of this TTML D1 season.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, I think, to see how this race is all going to unfold out on track. Of course, Singapore, one of the longest on the calendar. I think it's the second longest behind Belgium in terms of track length. But coming into tonight, Medium Pilot leading the way on 127 points, Perpetuum in second on 125. Medium Pilot again cannot make tonight's race, so gives Perpetuum a distinct advantage coming into tonight. Laser in third on 98, with Bullet Boy in fourth on 96, Matthias in fifth on 86, Lando sixth on 76, with Amazing Hour in seventh on 70, Mashivo in eighth on 65, Verstappen ninth on 62, and Kumbly in 10th on 57. Noon in 11th on 56, Schiaparelli in 12th on 49, Datamo in 13th on 48, Volbeek in 14th on 47, Dobby in 15th on 43, Venoms in 16th on 34, Jiao Jiao in 17th on 30, Carlsbury in 18th on 29, Recon in 19th on 26, and Hardy in 20th on 24 points. Combi, Zerdamer, Imadi, Venom, Bianchi, Lemon have all scored points as well. So 26 drivers have scored points so far this season. And coming into tonight, Dan, Medium Pilot and Perpetuum, 2 points separating. Medium Pilot can't make it. Perpetuum surely got the big advantage.
Yeah, to really get himself up in front in that championship race. We'll see what he can do. It's really been that consistency that has been his success throughout this season. Well, Medium Pilot has won much more races. Ultimately, he's going to be under threat here tonight. Perpetuum has a good opportunity to grab some points on him here tonight. Of course, Singapore, it's going to be a tricky one then. End plates can be lost so easily around this track. I think by race time, it is the single longest race on the entire calendar, and one of the most difficult in terms of the technical aspect of the circuit as well. So it's going to be immensely difficult. The drivers are going to have to be laser focused all the way throughout the race then. And that's the nature of this circuit. Maybe you won't see quite as much overtaking as usual around here, but what you're going to see is an awful lot of difficulty. The drivers are going to have to be on it for the entire race distance. One wrong move and you can find yourself with an end plate missing and a lot of catching up to do in the race.
It's only 5 kilometres to circuit as well. That's what we've got to factor in. And, of course, Singapore didn't get held in 2020 because of the coronavirus pandemic. But Singapore is one of those tracks, definitely, that I think can throw up a few surprises. It can also throw up a bit of rain out on track as well. We'll have to wait and see how that is all going to unfold, of course, out on track. In terms of the constructors' standings as well, Racing Point leading on 203 points. Red Bull second on 156. 2 points ahead of Ferrari on 154 and third. McLaren fourth on 144. Haas in fifth on 141. Alfa Romeo in 6th on 119, AlphaTauri in 7th on 91, Williams in 8th on 79, Renault in 9th on 46, and Mercedes, believe it or not, down in last position in the constructor standings in 10th on 34 points. And Racing Point have got that big noticeable advantage. Medium Pilot being leading the way, but Lando has had very consistent results as well.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, he has a victory in his own right earlier this season, so you can certainly count on him to rack up a fair amount of points as it stands up in 6th of the standings as well. Racing Point have just been the dominant force in the opening half of the season. We'll see if they can maintain that lead through and through. It's going to be nail-biting to see how everything is going to unfold, but behind that, it's incredibly close. 2nd through 5th, there's almost nothing to separate those 4 teams, the Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, Haas. That's going to be one of the real headline battles to look out for, as well as, of course, that big blind championship battle. But we're coming emerging through the season now, only 4 rounds to go, and we're going to see, particularly these next 3 rounds, the championship being defined, and we could see maybe things being wrapped up before Abu Dhabi. I hope, for the championship's sake, that it does all go down to the last race. We'll see how it all will unfold, but these next races is going to be crucial. It's where it's going to separate the boys from the men, especially at this circuit then in Singapore. And with the championship still very close, and in terms of the driver standings, this is a real opportunity for Perpetua in particular to try and open up. But there's certainly a lot that can go wrong tonight. Anything can happen, and it usually does. Singapore, no exception, James.
Yeah, Singapore, no exception indeed, and of course, we have to wait and see how this is all going to unfold out on track. There's no formal track introduction, there's no graphics. We have got the TAS system for you, though. TAS Keyboard, of course, providing us with that IGK TAS system in operation tonight. And sadly, we're doing it the old-fashioned way here on League Racing TV. We're throwing it back just with a new commentary team. That's all you've got to really factor in here in Division 1. But we are about to go away for qualifying. 15 drivers about to do battle around the streets of Singapore. 23 turns awaiting these cars out on track. It's a 5-kilometre circuit. Most famous section on the track, I would say, is the Anderson Bridge. It's the name of the track that I can remember, certainly, coming across the Anderson Bridge through 11, 12, and then in towards 13 at the hairpin, then in towards 14 at the end of the middle sector. But we are about to get going for qualifying, and the first defining factor is, what is the weather going to be like out on track? I believe in terms of the compound tyres as well, we should be seeing the softs, mediums and the hards, if I'm not mistaken, around here on, so that's a C2, C3 and C4 compound, if I'm not mistaken. But we are just waiting for Kuhn Bly to ready up. His PS5 taking a measly loading time compared to the rest of the guys on the right-hand side of my screen there. But we're now getting to go in towards qualifying. Mashiro, by the way, is saying that he might have problems with his pedals because he's applying pressure on them and it's giving them gas without him pressing them, which is very weird indeed. But under the bright night lights here in Singapore, it's dry.
Yep, under the, of course, the midnight spectacle here in Singapore that's become famous over the last decade or so. Now we are going to have qualifying ahead of us. And one thing that I'm noting immediately is a lot of drivers are switching to medium tyres straight away in that pit lane. It may not quite be a major sign of things to come, but Singapore, as well as being very difficult, very long in terms of the race, it's also a very, it also has very high tyre degradation. And so you're going to see that in order here tonight. One thing as well, you can make a soft to hard strategy work around this circuit. You can't conceivably get to the end. I think people are going to go on those soft tires, but outside the top 10, as we see so often on this game, is going to be an advantage then. So expect maybe medium to hard strategies from the guys outside the top 10. We now shape up onto the track for the first time as Monimonu Jr., who I believe is or Monimon Jr. is the first driver out. Then he is also, I think this is his debut actually, in terms of TTML D1 now heading out there in the McLaren. A lot of drivers got mediums on anyway. Earlier on, looking to maybe try and get early lap times in, but Monimon out there at the moment then. Medium tyres fit. We'll see what the McLaren can do on his first outing here at TTML D1.
Yeah, Monimon Jr., of course, as you rightly say, is making his debut here tonight. He is a reserve here in Division 1, and he now comes through the left-handed section of Turn 8, running down into the Singapore Sling at Turn 9, and then through Turn 10 before the Anderson Bridge section. He is on that lap currently. Luckily, it's outlap out on track, because he just invalidated, he just crashed. And misjudges the angle there, and that is not the way you want to be starting off your debut. He's going to be trooping back into the pit lane.
Yeah, that is how easy it is to knock an end plate, knock the wing earlier on here in qualifying, and there's the first error, the first victim of this Marina Bay circuit then. And so we're going to have to look elsewhere. I think Hardy is a long way back. Actually, a lot of the drivers very tentative, very hesitant to go out there on the circuit, but even on an outlap, that is the danger of Singapore. And so you might see that in action here tonight then. These are, of course, the best drivers that TTML has to offer, but even they will be suffering then throughout this circuit. Of course, a lot of walls that stick out there, and that is a dangerous area then. Heading under the Anderson right side, heading through turn 12 into the hairpin. We can definitely see wings being knocked in, but also this last into the difficult traction zones. There is no margin for error, and that's why it's something of a Marmite track here in Formula 1. You either love it or you hate it. We're going to watch them Excel Hardy first up across this 23 turn Formula 1 circuit. In Singapore going to be tackled. Hardy can open up in the Renault. Let's see what he can do then. A kick-off qualifying, and Hardy over the line to start the first flying lap here in the evening here at Singapore.
Absolutely flies past the pit lane. There's an Alfa Romeo, I should say, coming out. Oh, and he's invalidated through lap 1. So what a lap time this is already from Hardy. He's invalidated through lap 1. Are we going to get anybody that's going to set a lap here so far in qualifying? We've got Laser, who's third in the championship, coming round. He's on an out lap at this stage. He will be the first now to set a, hopefully, good lap out on track. And in fact, he's coming into the pit lane. Nobody wants to set a lap.
Well, I think we have Perpetuum next up in the Ferrari. Let's see what he can do then. Our championship contender now over the line. Let's see what he can do. Can't we at last get a lap in? We're almost 4 minutes into the session already.
Perpetuum then onto a lap car number 97 coming through turn 1. Doesn't invalidate, luckily, through turn 2 and then through turn 3 and now up the run in towards turn 4. It's a very tricky section in towards turn 4 as well. If you run wide here, you could be clipping the wall on the outside. And he invalidates as well. You've got to be having a laugh. Perpetuum has invalidated coming through turn 4. Honestly, I think these guys are just having us on in terms of these invalidations out on track. Dobby's invalidated and behind as well. Noon is coming out of turn 4. I think Noon put in the chat as well. Light rain and 20 minutes into the race. Heavy rain at the end of it.
Wow, that is a real strategic anomaly then for the drivers out there, so they're going to have to try and manage it around it, and maybe that's why we're seeing some medium tires fitted. Of course, if we are going to get, we're going to be starting in a dry, then they're going to be forced onto the qualifying sets anyway in the race, but that certainly throws things wide open. We'll see if the softs can maybe make that distance that they need to then. XL Noon is still out there at the moment and on a valid lap for the moment in the Red Bull, but the mediums are a fair amount slower. Here at Singapore, it's a low grip circuit anyway, and on the mediums is going to be really suffering, but he's still carrying on then. At the turn 14 now, let's see what the last set is going to be. Can Noon finally get a lap time on the board? 5 minutes in, are we going to see it now heading through turn 14, on to the exit then, into the final section of the track. They're getting onto the brakes, that's turn 16. And 17, hit the car on the curbs, he run up towards the wall, better oversteer through the exit for now, but he keeps it going then, runs a little bit wide to go underneath the stadium then, punching out of turn 19 into 20 and then 21 then, having to manage the throw, getting up towards the wall on the outside line, now heading into the final two corners to turn 22 and 23 the exit, then finally over the line. I don't think it was a particularly fast lap then, not pushing too hard, but now going to the top then, 134.7. To open things up then. We finally got lap on the board, just the third in the session, better late than never, James.
Thank goodness for that. We've been saved by Noon. It is midnight though out on track, I've got to be honest. There we are. We've started, haven't we? Perpetuum coming through turn 8, running down in towards the Singapore Slig at turn 9. He's now on a valid lap once again. He hasn't got much of that ERS left actually out on track. Coming through turn 10 through turn 11. Jaja goes to the top of the stand into 133.1. Not sure if it's your end as well. My fastest lap didn't come up there, apart from on the left-hand side. It didn't come up on the bottom of my screen. Perpetuum though coming through in towards turn 14. 101.9. It's not the purple middle sector that I'd be hoping for. He's run very wide coming out of turn 14. And now coming in towards 15, 16, and then this left-hander of 17. Jaja out on top with the Williams 1-2 currently at this stage. Chapelelli in second, Noon in third. Lap times are being set by other drivers. Kumbla and Colesbury and Verstappen have already set lap times as well. Perpetuum now out of turn 20 through 21 and then through 22 and 23. One of the main championship contenders coming into tonight. Looks like he's actually backed off this lap. Doesn't want to go and set a competitive lap here. Don't blame him, to be honest. A 135 flat puts him into 5th, but that could be a hell of a lot quicker.
I'm getting the impression that maybe some of these guys will be adamant to start outside the top 10 and have that tyre advantage, especially if we're going to be seeing rain come the race. So I think that's why you're seeing actually a lot of drivers purposely backing off the end of their flying laps then. And so with the two Williams, they certainly seem to be pushing. They're an awful long way clear of the field at the moment. Zhao from Chapelelli, 3/10 between them, incredibly spread out then. But I think that the reason you're seeing this lack of lap times is a lot of drivers are hesitant. They maybe don't want to even partake too much in this qualifying session. And the Williams are out there pumping in the best laps they can, but it looks like everyone else is content to sit there. We might not get the most exciting qualifying session. Everyone going for strategy come the race. We'll see how it goes then, but everyone holding back for the moment then. We'll see if it changes, but I think all these drivers are thinking the long game, rather than going for strategy in the race. They're going all guns blazing for top positions in quali so far.
The R&D, Jadjao out on top, Chapelletti second, Noonan third. 8 minutes gone, nearly here in qualifying for Division 1. You're on board with the debutant, Monimon Jr., who is on a lap time. That's going to be a mouthful to say if he's side by side with somebody in the race. Now comes through turn 19, then through turn 20 and 21. He's on a set of medium compound of tyres out on track and be hoping not to get as close to the wall as what he did there on the exit of turn 21. Now through 22 and 23, runs out of EOS, but it's a good lap, a 133.8
Wow.
on a set of medium compound of tyres. You can normally find somewhere between 1.2 and 1.4 seconds around naturally on a lap time around here. So Monimon Jr. could be looking at the 132s possibly.
Yeah, he's got that potential inside of it. To be honest, I think that's what a lot of these drivers are capable of. They just haven't put it together just yet. Out there in the moment, as I believe it, Matthias actually, Mashiro's a few seconds in front of the road there, but he is on an end lap, so we'll keep on board with the Red Bull driver now, heading through the last sector of the lap, then heading through out of turn 17, right up against the wall. Then you need to maximise the track width, then clipping the curve on the inside of 18, then heading the curve again, really hooking it on those rail curves and to stick out in front of the circuit. Matthias now heading through the third to last corner, right up against the wall, millimetres from it now into the final two corners then to the line of the Red Bull driver, crosses, goes P3, 33.5, but Monimon, that is a sterling lap then, a 33.8, and I think so far that's the most impressive lap. Then Jojo out there, we know the debut that, well, we know the run that he had last time out in Monza, but he's got work to there because the McLaren making a real splash here in his first appearance here in D1.
He is indeed Monimon Jr. into fourth position, similar to Sansu when he made his debut in Division 2. Got a bit of news actually coming out with Sansu. He's left the league because of his invite problem, which is... make of that what you will. Jojo out on an out lap, 8 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Jojo out on top, Chapelletti second, Matthias in third, 33.1 compared to 33.4 of his teammates, and he's more than 2.5 tenths of a second ahead. And these two do battle in an unnamed league. You know which one I'm talking about. Jojo in top though, and he debuted last week, made a really good debut last time out, of course, in Italy. Can he try and carry that form? He's certainly doing the best way so far in qualifying.
Yeah, keeping that up the front of the grid, and I know just from experience with Jojo, is that if he's starting in the top 4, he's probably going to be leading into turn 1 then. His race starts. It's usually not something we mention when it comes to a driver, but it's simply mesmerising how quickly that guy gets off the line. So keep an eye out. If he's up front then, be aware. But Chapelletti will look to try and overhaul those two Williams. Are definitely fighting for that pole position as it stands. It's still very spread out at the moment, and I've seen Mashiro out there, who's currently last of the drivers at the set of time. He's been out there for several laps, just doing laps on 0 ERS out there on the soft tyres, and he seems content. You just sit then, seems to have no interest in going further up the grid. It's a rather unusual qualifying session we've got right now. I think Dobby in the Haas, the furthest driver along then, heading through it towards the Singapore slag. Take us through it, James. Let's see what he can do in the second half of the lap. If he's going to continue going to the line and try and challenge that top time for Jojo now for the time being.
Comes through turn 9, through turn 10, and then through turn 11 at the Anderson Bridge, and then through turn 12 where we saw Monimon Jr. lose it earlier on. Now through the hairpin at turn 13, and now runs next to, well, a very fancy looking building to the right hand side there. Dobby 1 or 2.3 through the middle sector, not competitive. He's actually slower than Monimon's time coming through. He was on a set of medium compound tyres. There was a little bit of lag there as well from Dobby, but he now comes through in towards the final couple of corners out on track through 17 and 18, through 16, 17, then in towards 18, and then through turn 19. Count them up as we go along here out on track as we now come through 20 and then through 21. Jojo out on top, Chapelletti second, Matthias in third, Paul Williams is, by the way, on laps now. Dobby out the final corner, comes across the line. He'll go 5th, I think, with this lap time. And he does. And he goes for 134.2. Chapelletti's invalidated through the first sector. Jojo, not sure how he's looking into the middle sector split. And he's 2 tenths up.
Quick. Yeah, very, very quick, heading through the middle sector. Let's see if he can maximise that run to the end of the lap then. Let's see, right up against the wall in the edge here. Turn 16, really committed over the curbs as well. He is not holding back like we've seen from others then. He is going all out for right up against the wall again. Maximise the track width here. Jojo is on the limit here, but still just about keeping it together. Right up against the wall in a turn 21. And again in a turn 22. Nails the apex. Runs it out to the line. It's a 132.5. 2.3! That is brilliant. That last sector was mesmerising. He went up against one wall to the next, no mistakes, and that was sensational with just 5.5 minutes to go in the session. That lap will take some beating. Sensational from Jojo. Can anyone get near that 132.3? That was astonishing for the Williams.
He is more than a second ahead of his teammates. Let's just put that into perspective right here, right now, with 5 minutes to go in qualifying. That was probably the best final sector you will ever see somebody drive out on track in Singapore. Simple as that. I think he's run out of fuel as well on that lap, so just come to show how much of a limit he was on. Monimon Jr. has just started up on a lap. Dobby is down on his lap time coming through the final sector. I think we've got Mashiro as well on a lap time just out of the Anderson Bridge section. He's invalid as well. Kumblai has just started up on a lap, and there's a Renault out there on track as well. That's Hardy, and he is on a lap time just coming through sector 1. I think Monimon Jr. then's the furthest on, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. I think he is the furthest on, isn't he?
Yes, I do believe so, James. Let's keep an eye out on the McLaren. Cuts the inside, though, and that's going to be invalid through turn 11, then is going to have to get out of that lap then. But he certainly showed good pace. But Chow Chow, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to get near that. Shabalilix looked impressive early in the session, but that is a whole heap of time to find then. Over a second. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up. I'm keeping up slightly, I guess, with D1. I'm not sure what's the biggest qualifying margin we've seen, but I don't think it's that big. So Chow Chow, seemingly so dominant out there. I guess we'll keep an eye on Hardy then, heading through that middle sector, over the lane, and to say he is on the medium compound, that's not a bad middle sector then, punching out of turn 14 and 15 now. You have to turn, well breaking it, very difficult, but he keeps it over the line and running it up to the wall. I guess we'll see now. Of course, medium's compromised grip most of the field that medium's fed then. No one interested in that pole in the rain is going to really throw things in the air come the race. XRD still out there again up against the wall. This last sector is really good to see drivers really pushing the limits, and Hardy coming up to the line is going to go in a P6 just shy of Money One. Perpetuum just improved in front of him. He goes quicker for Perpetuum. That's a good lap then. I think that put it on softs, and he's not far from Jojo's lap time, but he's gone for mediums then. Everyone's going for that same strategy, and I reckon the guys that set their lap times on softs, they may be disadvantaged here. Those top three could be vulnerable if everyone else goes for the yellow wall tyres for the remainder of this quality session.
Yeah, it's very high tyre deg around here in Singapore. It's like 5-6% a lap normally when it's dry. We have been expecting rain 20 minutes into the race, so just take that with a pinch of salt. Zerdimer on a lap time though. Jaja out on top, Chapelletti in second, Matthias in third position, Perpetuum in fourth. I can actually pronounce that name right now, in Matthias. Zerdimer though coming through the final couple of corners out on track and now runs toward the line. This is a really good lap actually from the Dutchman. He's going to go around Kumblai sort of area, and in fact he goes 9th behind Dobby, so not a bad lap there at all. From Zerdimer he goes 9th at 134.5 out on track. Verstappen, his QVR rival in behind, is just starting up on the lap and he's got a Red Bull in front of Matthias.
Yeah, gets out of the way pretty nice, and Zerdimer's going to stay out of the way as well. QVR Verstappen and heading through turn 4 and onto the exit and opening up that DRS that we've seen low 26, I think, from most of the drivers. Heading through that first sector for Savin at 26.1 is right on the money. Now, heading through the Memorial corner now, thread to the middle sector there, the slowest portion of the track then. Jojo's retired to the pit lane. He is satisfied, and rightfully so, with that top lap then. He is saying it. He retires early. Beat that, he says to everyone else in the order. But I sense there's going to be two different qualifying sessions here to end this off. It's going to be the battle for pole and the battle for P11. Everyone trying to get that free choice of tyres. For Savino, still out there in the Alfa Romeo, runs it out wide slightly though, gets it back in, skips it in the right, and opens up that DRS for the third time in a flying lap that crosses and is well up actually, slightly quicker than Hardy to the middle sector, so could fit himself up near Perpetuum side, but he really nails down this last sector. So let's see what the Alpha has got in store for us here. Through turn 17, right up against the wall. Now, through to turn 18, Perpetuum's also retarded. The top medium runner, he'll be satisfied with that. And moment, Chapelletti's going out on mediums as well. He thinks he can improve on that 133.4 for Stamina now. Through turn 21, just about holds the car together. Into the final two corners now. Going up to the leg, QVR Verstappen from 11th to 5th. Just jumps the money one. That's a good lap for Verstappen. Not as good as Perpetuum, but he puts himself in the mix then. Top 5 on mediums is a very nice place to start, and like I said, it's Shabalili, Matthias, Jojo, they're isolated at the front. Matthias has got back out on the softs, but Shabalili in the mediums, can he somehow find an improvement? It's going to need a mega lap for FRL Shabalili to pull it off.
Definitely, but if it's anybody that can do it, the German can do it out on track, and this might be one of his stronger tracks, who knows. Hardy is on a lap time coming out of turn 17, then through 18, then through 19, getting very close to the wall. Nearly did a PK through there, but now comes through 19, and then through turns 20, and then through 21, and now Hardy runs really close to the wall. He was 600ths of a second up coming out of the middle sector, now through the final sector, now through the final corner, comes across the line, and he improves up to 5th, finds a little bit more time in that final sector, does Hardy. Behind him out on track, I think, is Laser coming across the line. He puts himself up into 8th position. We've got Moneymon Jr. on a lap time. Chapelelli, though, is going to be the next out on track, but he's not, because he's invalid, so that means Jau's pretty much on pole position. Matthias is out on a set of soft compounded tyres, or Matthias, I should say, out on a set of soft compounded tyres. Let's see what he's doing. Through the middle sector, he's 3/10 up. He's now got to find a second, pretty much, on Jau to try and beat this lap time of the Dane. The Dane has looked imperious so far. Chapelelli invalid. Can Matthias try and fight back through 17, then through 18 and 19? Underneath the grandstand we go, through 19, and then through 20 and 21, underneath the underpass here, as now he comes through 20, 21, gets a little bit out of shape, Matthias, and it's not looking like a great lap for Morley. I think he'll go second with this, comes across the line, he will not go pole, and he does improve to 133 flat. Disappointing improvement, if I've got to be honest, in the end from him. Hardy is down his lap time. Moneymon Jr. is coming back into the pit then, so doesn't want to set a lap time on a set of soft compounded tyres. Zerdemer, I should say, in 11th, not coming around the final corner. Noon then, coming across the line, goes 9th, and we've got Lando and Mashiro, I think, on lap time. Mashiro was 1.6 seconds up before invalidating Lando at the final corner. Going to be a good lap from Lando here. Comes across the line, and he goes behind his XL teammate into P6. I think, though, that is pretty much qualifying over and done with, and it is. Mashiro comes across the line, not improving. Jau out on top, Matthias in second, and Chapelelli in third.
Yeah, those 3 drivers that committed to those soft tyres, they end up on top then. They'll be the only drivers forced onto this, and they're going to be praying that the rain comes early. Jojo, though, that's got to be the biggest pole margin of the season, surely then. That is remarkable. 7/10 of a second clear, and in the end, well, Matthias gave it everything he could. Ultimately, I think he was content to settle for a front row spot, but this is going to be, after what was, I can only describe as an odd qualifying session, now heading into the race with some very intriguing strategies in front of us then. Jojo, 7/10 clear. Chapelelli holds second back. I think that's probably the most spread out qualifying we've seen. Perpetua, by some margin, as the fastest driver on the medium tyres. He's in a great spot heading into the race, if he can maybe work his way past the soft runners when those tyres start to degrade. Hardy, P5 at the moment, Lando, Verstappen, Moneymon, Laser, and Noon round out the top 10. Then it's Dobby, Goodbye, Zerwa, Carlsberg, and Mashiro rounding out the grid. Seemed like a few drivers didn't really bother with that qualifying session, but now we head into the race then with 15 drivers looking to tackle the track then. Jojo for pole position, but I think this is one of the most difficult pole positions to hold. Can Jojo do it? He looked mesmerising there in that qualifying lap, but he's going to have his work out because the medium runners are going to have a distinct advantage heading into the race now.
Yeah, Hardy and Verstappen, I think, were about 3,000ths of a second off each other out on track, and there was another 2 drivers further down the field, just 2,000ths away. I think it might have been Moneymon Jr. and somebody else. But out on track, here we go. It is dry, but whether it will stay that way remains to be seen. We've been promised 20 minutes into the race, there's going to be rain. Later saying in the chat there as well, he did his lap with a wet setup, so I wonder if that's why we've seen a real sparse grid out on track. Many drivers possibly opting for a wet setup as opposed to a dry setup. But it could be one of those races, if it's going to be heavy rain right at the end of this race, it could be one of those races out on track where it begins to get wet about 20 minutes into the race, and then it still stays dry pretty much until the final couple of laps, and then all hell will break loose in terms of the weather.
Well, I think that it was Noon that said in the chat then that we're looking at heavy rain further along the line in the race. So who knows if that's how it's going to unfold then. Of course, you can only give a rough estimation of the weather, particularly just on that qualifying dashboard. The drivers will have a slightly better idea, but we have no clue how this will unfold because the on the display that the drivers have in qualifying, when it says 20 minutes they'll be rained, it means that they'll be rained between the start and 20 minutes into the race. So it could start raining next lap for all we know, who knows? But, and when that comes, it's going to really swing the pendulum between these softs and the medium runners. And as you can see, everyone outside the top 10 opting for those mediums. And so they're sticking on that alternate strategy then, and just 3 drivers in the front on those softs. If any of them lose ground early on, they're going to be in real trouble, because the soft tire is not a good race tire. The medium tire, after just a few laps, will surely be quicker. The softs go off after really just 4 or 5 laps around here. They start to lose grip, maybe start to overheat as well, and so they're going to have to be on their toes then. And Jojo for the front, if he can convert this, I will be amazed. But you have to say that Perpetuum, after such pace early on in that qualifying session, is in a supreme position. The question is, was he just quicker than everyone else, or did he compromise himself less for a wet race? And will some of the drivers behind have a better chance of overhauling him when the heavens open and the rain starts pouring down later on?
But Jojo was a master of the wet, remember, because I was commentating on him in that unnamed league, of course, back in Austria, I think it was. It was the first round of the season, and he was so quick on a set of intermediates. I think he finished second in that race behind D. Daniel, which was a really good result from him on his debut in the unnamed league. Jojo on top, Matthias second, Schiaparelli in third. I'm not going to be forced to say that unnamed league on the stream, but Jojo leading the way, Matthias second, Schiaparelli in third. They come around the formation lap. Top 3 predictions has been asked by Falk, so I'm going to go first. Very rare that I normally hand over to my co-commentator at this point. That's for the top 3. But my top 3, Jojo for the win, Perpetuum second, Lando for third.
Right, well, I can't go the same way as you then, can I? I'm going to go with Perpetuum for the win, Jojo for P2, and Verstappen for P3. Let's see how it works out then. I think we've all picked drivers of a similar ballpark, slightly different though, but in an unpredictable race like Singapore, anything can happen in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does then. 31 laps in front of us, probably a full hour of racing then. It's such a long lap. Let's get into it then. Jojo to the grid, can he hold on to that lead heading into the first turn?
You would imagine, and there is the view from the halo cam running down in towards turn 1. Jojo has got a pinpoint accurate view. About 200 metre run, I think, down in towards turn 1 as well. So it's not a very long run down in towards turn 1 at all. Of course, the scene in 2017, Vettel, Verstappen and Raikkonen coming together. Alonso got caught up in that incident as well, coming through turn 1. Are we going to get similar scenes like that, I wonder? Who knows? Here in Singapore, we see the back of the grid now rejoining on, and we are about to get underway out on track. And you'll see in the gantry there, the 5 red lights are about to go out, and now they come on for round 8 of the championship here. It's season 3 of TTML Division 1, and it's lights down, and away we go. Jojo reacts quicker to the start, and he gets a really good start. So does Schiaparelli. It's going to be a Williams 1-2, running down in towards turn 1. There's 3 wide on the background. Hardy tries to go around the outside of Perpetuum. Lando got squeezed on the inside line there, and Perpetuum is through, and he's into 4th. Hardy now dropping down. He's going side by side with Lando. The 2XL drivers now going side by side. They've got to respect each other coming through turn 4, and they have indeed, and Hardy stays in P5 for now, but Jojo has got an excellent start. 5.5 tenths away out in front. Schiaparelli trying to close up in second. Matthias in third. Perpetuum in 4th. Hardy in 5th. Lando in 6th. Lando tries to dive it down the inside line. A little bit of lag, in fact, from Lando. Gets forced out wide slightly by Verstappen. Verstappen on the outside line. Later in Monimon Jr. going side by side. Monimon Jr. hits the wall coming out of turn 8. I'm not sure if there's damage on that car. Carlsbury goes around the outside of him though. The Finn. Can he try and get the move done? And Lando spearing off. I'm not sure if that is a lot of lag coming from Lando's end. Yeah, hopefully he can fix his internet connection. Monimon Jr. I don't think has picked up damage. It's going to be hell on earth for the guys in behind. Nobody's managed to get a real overtake done, but Jojo leads at the end of the first half a lap. Leads 6 tenths of a second. Schiaparelli in second. Matthias in third.
Yeah, the soft runner's holding station at the front. That's exactly what he needed. Perpetuum holding up behind that. Verstappen and Lando. I don't think they're actually going back and forth. I think Lando's connection does seem to be rather poor on the circuit. And for me, he's gone straight to the wall, but I think he is just about fine out there. Jojo though still leads Schiaparelli. Great start running round the inside. Both the Williams getting off the line superbly and leading the way at the moment. I think Jojo got very close to the wall on the exit of turn 19. Just been able to keep it in play then. Heading in to the last 2 corners of the lap then. He still leads the way there. Lando is under pressure from Laser, or is he? I think Lando is still holding on then. It is almost impossible to keep track of where that racing point is on the circuit. Reed Hawes holds station for the moment in there. But off at the front, Jojo still leads Schiaparelli. Of course, overtaking going to be immensely difficult are here at Singapore, but everyone just sloting in then, keeping himself standing at the moment then. Perpetuum though running way with the top three. He looks very, very fast early on then, and breaking clear slightly of Hardy behind him. Perpetuum's there, sitting ready to go then. There'll be a few laps before the stops going off, but once they do, you suspect the Ferrari will be crawling all over them. Jojo leads the way, but Matthias will be the first to come under pressure. The Red Bull's going to have to look over his shoulder, because you know that the Ferrari in the championship contention is going to work his way through. Matthias holding P3, but you bet that Perpetuum, when the renames start coming into play, is going to be charging at the Red Bull looking for a way through.
Yeah, to be honest as well, Perpetuum can finish this race in 15th and he'll still pick up the championship lead going into next week, as long as Laser doesn't outscore him by as many points as it would take to try and get him. But Perpetuum now in 4th position, hunting down. You can already see in terms of the mediums beginning to switch over. We're already seeing in terms of that on track. Jaja leading the way, Chapelletti 2nd, Matthias in 3rd, Perpetuum in 4th, Hardy 5th, Verstappen 6th, Lando in 7th. Laser predicted pit stop strategy lap 11 to 16, lap 18 to 20. That's a very awkward medium strategy run there, as Lando actually ran wide then, has actually ghosted inside and, yeah, playing tricks with our eyes, I think, and he's actually gone straight into the wall. That was... yeah, we'll just leave him for now. Jaja leading the way, Chapelletti in 2nd, Matthias in 3rd. If you're wondering where Lando is out on track, he is in 7th position. He's just coming in the background and short run wide there, just in front of Laser, and I think the gap there is about 0.8 of a second coming across the line. Verstappen right on the back. The task system is playing up as well in terms of Lando's position, so it's not that great. But Jaja, fastest lap of the race, 38.5, leading the way, Chapelletti 2nd, Matthias in 3rd. Verstappen right on the back of Hardy though, excel against QVR. This could be quite spicy.
Yeah, Verstappen second rate with Hardy, and Hardy's not quite been able to keep pace with the top four at the moment, man. Matthias also being dropped by the two Williams, who are really making good progress up at the front then, and keeping those soft tires in check just for the time being. Of course, those soft tires beginning to wear that already, pushing 30% on all three of them up at the front of the race, and they're going to start overheating as well then, so they're going to have to make sure they keep it on the island there. Matthias holding back Perpetuum for the moment then, and looking to try and hold it back, but out of DRS, all the drivers in front there. DRS can be very powerful actually, heading towards Memorial Corner then, at the end of the first set. They can really open things up there. Perpetuum though, cannot quite get the exit over turn 13 to chase down the third place man at the moment. But still, Matthias holds on there. Perpetuum putting on the pressure. Verstappen as well on Hardy, chasing him down out then. So the field breaking off into little pockets at the moment. Still in the rain, hasn't made his appearance just yet. There may be a few laps yet. Jojo still leads. Chapelletti going with them, and these two looking really comfortable up at the front then. Matthias trying to get with him, but he wants to keep Perpetuum behind. He needs that DRS. Otherwise, the Ferrari may go sailing on by as he gets ever closer, heading towards lap 4 here in the Singapore Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's very controlling, I think, from the two Williams out on track. Jajo controlling the race from the front. Monimon Jr. picks up the 3-second time penalty. He's also picked up damage on that right side end plate as well. 12% damage for him. 19% damage for Koen Bly down in 13th position. So a disaster for Koen Bly. Lando, by the way, is still running in 7th position. I kid you not. He's just coming through camera shot there. Perpetuum right on the back of Matthias. And Matthias' tyres look shot already. He's got 38% wear, 39% wear on that front right. And now Perpetuum is just going to absolutely sail on by. Mediums against softs, no competition whatsoever. Perpetuum through and he's into 3rd. What can he do now? He's only a second and a half off Chapelletti, 2 seconds off the lead. Mediums already beginning to switch, I think. We should see Perpetuum absolutely fly into this race and carve his way through the top two.
Yeah, Jojo and Chapelletti going to have to look over their shoulder, but their real goal should be to get those tyres towards the rain whenever it begins to come down. Now, Verstappen lining up Hardy, and Perpetuum looking to reel in the top two then. Jojo and Chapelletti both saved a good amount of battery though. They'll have that to defend at least from the ever-present Ferrari, and behind them at the moment. Still, as well, Hardy trying to get up to Matthias now, who continues to slip in this race, and he's not been able to look after the tires quite as well as the two drivers in front, I don't think, then, as he slips back. Hardy Verstappen coming up towards it then. Laser still out there. I have no idea where Lando is. He is actually running right behind Verstappen. There he is, still in there. But he's completely, I think, desynced in terms of the gap there, because he's 15th to the lap down for me. Still running in there. Yeah, it's very difficult to actually commentate on this, and I can't see where his car is. But up at the front then, Jojo Chapelletti there. But look at this then. Perpetuum has caught these guys already. Right in that DRS then. Chapelletti will be the first man under pressure at the Ferrari. Chasing down the Williams out on the track then. But if Chapelletti can hold that DRS. He's going to make himself a difficult target to get through. Remember, overtaking in Singapore is difficult no matter how fast you are. So Perpetuum, even though he has Shavalili linked up, Shavalili can use that DRS to keep him behind, and Perpetuum still is going to have to find it very difficult to find a way through. Is that Noon and Mashiro barely in a turn one, then I think Noon went by. Lost a couple of places, and Hardy now attacking Matthias. It's going to go round the outside to get the inside line. Heading into Memorial Corner, will get through. Laredo up in a 4th place then, continuing to press forward as the second highest runner on the medium tires. Then back goes Matthias, and up goes Verstappen now trying to challenge him, and there from behind. Mashiro and Noon now still going at it. Mashiro's had to back out of that one, but Jojo still leads the way. Shabaluli, Perpetuum lining his way through, but can't get through for the moment. Still having to sit back then in that 5th position, holding P3 for the moment, but Jojo still leads, holding on the moment. He'll be desperate for the rain to come then in time so he can get onto the soft tires, and with his wet pace that you alluded to, have a fighting shot. So Perpetuum still holding through for the moment, but Shabaluli keeping him at bay for the time being.
Yeah, pretty much around the same ERS usage as well. Jaja's conserving more out on track. Verstappen's running the back of Matthias running through. Matthias's tyres look absolutely shot. He makes a mistake and out Verstappen. How's that a 3-second time penalty? Come on! He's through and he's into 5th position, but picks up a 3-second time penalty on the exit of turn 14. That is absolutely ridiculous to pick up a 3-second time penalty there. Verstappen in 5th, Matthias in 6th, Laser now, well, Lando in 7th, Laser in 8th position, but Perpetuum right on the coattails of Chapelelli. One more lap. Do you know what? I'm going to make a prediction now before I go. Perpetuum's going to get through, maybe down in towards turn 1. Could he get both of them before the end of the lap? He's going to get one down in towards turn 1. Forces Chapelelli out wide. The two German now go side by side. The Ferrari and the Williams now side by side through turn 3. Perpetuum's got one. Can he get the other on this lap? 7/10 of a second. You imagine with Perpetuum's pace, he's going to absolutely carve his way through the field. Jaja leading Perpetuum in second. He's not going to be close enough this time around. However, I think he might fancy his chances, possibly into turn 14. If not, maybe next lap around. As we see 3 wide in the background, Matthias has been absolutely swarmed by Lando, by Laser, and also the rain is beginning to fall out on track. We've just seen the rain and Lando's into the wall! Lando into the wall, and that is the desync absolutely coming of age there. Cosbury is through on Matthias now. Disaster for Lando, and that is why, when you're a desync driver, you should try and not make contact, because the Goldstein system always fails on this game. And I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay, then we'll run through that. I hope that you've...
Perpetuum's running on the back of Jaja.
And they make contact coming in at turn 13. Perpetuum's got a good run right there. Same thing on parallel with Jojo. He struggles to hold it back there. Perpetuum. But Jojo trying to launch it back to the inside. He doesn't have the grip. There goes Perpetuum then into the race lead. But critically, the rain now coming down. Hardy in the background attacking Shavalili to the inside of turn 16. Getting in the move done then. Williams and Renault lead on each other then. Hardy has to back out on the outside like Shavalili will just hold him up. But Hardy is swarming over the rear wing of the German who runs away going onto the grandstand then. Rain is coming down heavy already, and so the soft runners can just hang on then, but they're pushing 60% down the tires, straight to the pit lane they go. It's come down so heavily there, James, as Hardy's misjudged the pit entry, has to back out of it then. Shabalili in front. He's had to stay out there with Jojo coming in and land him out the session then.
DRS
I think it's
disabled.
connection, just letting him go. DRS disabled, Ender's going on then. It's Manning in the pit lane and almost the entire field in the pit lane, James.
And Perpetuum's been held up by Verstappen, I think, coming out of the pit lane as well, but I think he's going to be in front of Jojo and behind, and he is. Jojo's actually been held up further down the field. Hardy's through, Verstappen through. Yeah, Jojo's got a wing change. I wonder if he had damage. Didn't come up on the task system about that. Perpetuum, though, now in 3rd position. Chapelelli and Noon really feel sorry for them. Monimon Jr., I think, has crashed coming through turn 18 underneath the grandstand. But Chapelelli leads the way. Noon in 2nd, Perpetuum in 3rd. I was literally about to go downstairs and switch off a computer, but I can't now. Perpetuum, 3rd position. Hardy 4th. Verstappen in 5th. I'm going to go down before it all kicks off again. I'll ride on board with Zerdimer on the back of Matthias.
Yeah, so we'll have a look at Zerdimer trying to get through there. Matthias can respond though to the now having some tires underneath him to try and push forward. We saw he had good pace and qualified. We'll see what he can do then. Moneybot's got into the pit lane then. He's had a nightmare on his debut after an encouraging qualifying session, but unable to really make the most of it then. You can see Zerdimer chasing down Matthias, and the shade coming off the track is extraordinary then. The reflection as the rain begins to come down and looks to set on the track, then immediately on to the end. There's a wonder if eventually we're going to be able to get to the wets further down the line. Of course, we do have indications that it may go to heavy rain, and that rain has come down astonishingly quickly early on, and we're only on the 7th lap, 31 in the race, and we have an awful lot of racing ahead of us then, heading throughout the Singapore Grand Prix. So watching Zenova then really strongly. You can see the Ender scrubbing across the track surface. He's got Bashiro beginning to chase him down on the road. Farther up the road, you've got Jouger attacking Laser. Hasn't got through just yet. Laser just about holding it back. We do have a couple of penalties in Hardy and Verstappen. Both wet penalties further up the road, so they're going to be a threat there. But ultimately, not losing any places just yet. They are going to be suffering though. It's Chabalili and Noon that are still out then. They had to stay out, and their teammates were blocking their pit entry. So when come Chabalili, Noon will follow suit, and the gap coming down so quickly. There is nothing left in those slick tires. Those two drivers are going to suffer greatly here in the Singapore Grand Prix. So you get a bit of a status update as to how things stand. Perpetual leads comfortably. Hardy, nearest challenger, has a penalty to his name as well. So through the penalty goes Chabalili and Noon. They're going to be well down the back of the field then. Chabalili and Noon will emerge down at the very least at 11th and 12th. I think they'll get out there just fine. But ultimately, not at all what they were looking for. Not at all what they were after. Chabalili in front then. Kun's actually going to jump all of them. Get up into 11th position out there on the track for the time being. And we'll see if he holds on to that one then. Still some time belts out on the track then. No DRS though. Difficult to follow in the wake of the driver in front then on these intermediate tires, which will probably not, dare I say it, make the end of the race. And so they're going to have to come in again, be it for inters, and maybe even wet again in the rain. Still coming down heavy down the track. You can see the shine reflecting off of the Singapore lights here at Marina Bay onto the illuminations then. And this brilliant Singapore night then that has become iconic here at Formula One. We're still watching Excel's Zenova. He's got pressure from Bashir behind. He's really struggling then. He runs it out wide to the Singapore sling. Just holds onto the car, but gets it out of shape again. And Bashiro is lighting up into the hairpin then. And out wide goes the Renault again. And Candy Alvatari getting underneath him. But there's oversteer for Bashiro as well. Further behind, Zenova will just about keep him at bay for the moment. But he is really struggling and seems to have no front end grip then in that Renault, who ultimately is going to be really up against it to keep the AlphaTauri behind. They run P8, P9 at the moment then, with Matthias rapidly disappearing up the road then. Zenova just doesn't look to be able to find that grip like others have done so far in the wet. Then we're going to go to the 9th lap of the Singapore Grand Prix, approaching the third of the way distance, as still Perpetuum leads and slowly but surely working his way clear of XLR, QVR for Verstappen behind then, as they run a P2, P3, and they're also fully clear of Laser, who's holding back for Jouger. We suspect that Jouger has probably got a bit more pace inside it, but ultimately hasn't been able to make it work. He is bottlenecked behind the McLaren as it stands out on the road then. With Zero still chasing Zenova then, gets a better light through turn 1, and now Zenova is under pressure again. Head through turn 2 then, but it moves through the exit. Mashiro, massive moves through behind him though, will save the Renault. At the moment, P8 will just about hold on for it for the moment. And you can see coming out of turn 5. I think he will just about keep him at bay for the time being. Not seeing much overtaking. It is extraordinarily difficult to make a move stick here in the rain. And you're seeing that at full swing. The evidence flowing throughout them. But down the order we've got battling there. Chabalili attacking Kublai. He looks to the outside line from the back. I don't think you guys can see this at the moment. But Kublai is able to stay in front of Chabalili still for the moment. Heading through Memorial Corner. Zenova doing all he can, but he's leaking so much time. The driver's in front then, and that's Calsbury and Matthias. I think now you're seeing it. I think James is now going to return to us then. Hopefully the computer's shut down just fine. You've seen Zenova really scrubbing across the track surface. Perpetuum still leads the way, slowly but surely pulling clear. And Jouger still falling up behind Laser, overtaking in these wet conditions. Seems increasingly difficult then. No one can get through just yet. Then getting through here in Singapore is a remarkable challenge for all the drivers out there on the track at the moment.
Well, Chapelotti's just managed it down the hairpin into turn 13. So he's got the move done down the hairpin into turn 13, gets the move done into turn 11. Kublai, oh my goodness, speeding went into the back of him, running in towards as a intermediate compound of time. I'm not sure if you saw that on your screen. There's a set of inters that is a one wheel that has came off a car, and it's like just absorbed into absolute thin air. Anyways, Verstappen right on the back of Hardy, second and third position. Weird times here. Left 10 out of 31, just beginning in Singapore. Perpetum leading 3.5 seconds. Hardy second, Verstappen in third. Laser fourth, Zhao Zhao in fifth position. Let's have a look at the position gains actually from the guys out on track. 8 positions gained for Carlsbury, a real excelling man out on track. The Finn. Now Verstappen right on the back of the excel man of Hardy, and Hardy's going to be under pressure, running down in towards turn 5 and then through in towards Memorial Corner, turn 6, then through 7, and then through turn 8, underneath the Singapore skyline here as he now comes through. This right-hander, Verstappen right on the back. You can see how difficult these conditions are getting very quickly indeed. If there's heavy rain before the end of the race, it is going to be wet conditions towards the end. Zhao Zhao, though, right on the back of the championship third, Laser, and Laser will have pinpoint accuracy to try and fend them off. But Zhao Zhao is like a sniper, trying to fire that shot and trying to get that overtake done.
But the shot hasn't quite hit the head just yet. He still has to wait behind the McLaren and getting right out way through the Singapore sling. Holds it together. Laser almost across the track and into the accident. Brakes further down the road. Chapolilli is on the move again into the Singapore sling. Gets through up at a P10 then for the Williams. Continuing his good progress. He looks to have some good speed at the moment. And the wet conditions is really taking to him like a duck to water. Quite literally. Look at the water all around the circuit as it stands then. Still miles unfolding. Verstappen chasing Hardy. Hardy though has kept his battery a little bit better, and so he can maintain it. Both these guys with penalties, but no one is anywhere near. Laser has not been able to match these guys' pace, and it's come under increasing pressure from Zhao Zhao, but Zhao Zhao is discovering the difficulty of getting a move done then. The McLaren is still holding back, and Carlsbury and Matthias have came around to join the show. We have now a 4-way fight over position 4. Out there at the moment on the track then, can Zhao Zhao find a way through? Out of turn 22 then, has he got a better run? No, falling in the wake. It's so difficult around here in these wet conditions, and still Laser will do all he can to hold it back, and Zhao Zhao for the moment cannot get through. Verstappen trying to get up to further up the road, but doesn't have the battery, doesn't have the outright speed. Hardy's holding it back just for now, and still Zhao Zhao challenging Laser. Then if he gets a good run through turn 4, he may be able to open him up then through the exit. Let's see Laser bit of a shot from his rear tyres. The overtake is activated for Zhao Zhao, who's been very conservative in holding it back, but Laser holds him off. Still keeping hold of P4 then, and whenever Zhao Zhao throws out the McLaren, Laser has an answer to, and keeping hold of P4 at the moment. Zhao Zhao cannot get through it. It's still stuck at the mercy of the McLaren in 4th position at the moment.
He is indeed. Carlsbury, Matthias not too far off either. Zerdeman under pressure from Mashiro as well, coming through turn 6, and then through turn 7, this right-handed corner before the Singapore sling out on track, and Mashiro right on the back of Zerdeman. Mashiro normally quite good in the wet conditions. He's got the excel man of Zerdeman in front. I've probably pronounced his name about 5 different times now out on track. Mashiro though, right on the back.
Zhao Zhao launching it down the inside of Laser then. He went deep down to Felipe Massa, moved to the inside lane, but he pulls it off at last. For Zhao Zhao is through on TTG Laser, made his way through, makes the MX 14 as well. It was brave, but he made it work. Over to P4, now he needs to get adapted to these wet conditions. At last there's a clear track in front of him. Can he chase down that gap? P2 is not the question just yet. It was a great lunge from Zhao Zhao. He got through. Laser has to bring it up though, and now Carlsbury and Matthias also looking for a way through it in. The McLaren rolling back for the moment. Ferrari and Red Bull gaining. Laser, can he hold on to this? And he needs top 5 to keep himself in that championship hunt.
He really does, and he's 5.5 seconds away from the back of Verstappen. Later, currently in 5th position, 9/10 off Verstappen. Then on the back of Hardy, running down in towards turn 1. It was better than Zerdeman and Mashiro's battle, because that's now gone out to about 0.6 of a second. So Verstappen right on the back of Hardy, left 12 out of 31. This is a very long race. I would go make a cup of tea probably at this point, unless you don't want to miss Verstappen trying to get past Hardy for 2nd and for 3rd position. And now he's got a much better run. He's much closer this time around. Has he got the overtake mode up to try and have a run at Hardy? Hardy, I think, has used up a little bit of overtake mode to try and defend off, and to be honest, I don't think Verstappen will go for this move. Knowing him, he's not going to go for it, and Hardy stays in position for P2 for now, running into turn 7. No, he's not. He's down the inside line. Can he try and get the move done? No, Hardy forced the outside line and just about gets the traction to hold the position. 2nd, Verstappen entitled to try for that, but the more he tries and the more desperation sets in, the more Perpetum's going to pull away.
And the more Jojo is going to reel him in without a penalty to his name, that is even more crucial, and he's gained a second already since he made that move on Laser. He is utterly flying in these wet conditions, and really moving forward. Can he keep that charge going for Williams? So Laser beginning to slip that back there, but he's holding back Carlsberg and Matthias. For the time being, the rain's still peppering down, but ultimately, still the enters on the target to be on Carlsberg with a major snap on the exit of a turn 13. Holds again, Bashir still attacking Zenova then, heading through the hairbit, but he can't get through. Makes a bit of a mistake, and now Shabalili gets over alongside the Avatar. Will cruise around the exit, and that's another move for Shabalili. After being compromised, having to stay out after his teammate went in front of him, he is making a sterling recovery drive. Now can line up Zenova in front then. Shabalili flies through, can he get the move done then? He's making great progress, but 10 seconds in front of Lorenzo then. Even if he gets through, he's got so much progress to make. Shabalili has immense pace, but it may well be too little too late. There's a long way left in the race then, but being dead at P9, he's got so much work to do if he wants to get up to the train in front.
I would argue though, that the rain is getting heavier, I would say, out on track now. And lap 13 out of 31, we're already about 20 minutes in to that period, so I wonder if the heavy rain is now beginning to fall out on track, and I wonder if this is going to bring Schiaparelli into play on the back of Zerdema. Zerdema currently in 8th position, Schiaparelli currently in 9th. I was on board with Kuhnblai and Noon coming out the final corner. Noon right on the coattail of Kuhnblai, just in front of him, with the QVR man hanging off the XL man. What is it with XL and QVR? Do they want to have bragging rights over who's the best team out on track at this point? Kuhnblai in 12th, XL Noon in 13th position, Zerdema outscoring Schiaparelli for now, but Schiaparelli's going to get the run, running down through the kink at 5, and then in towards Memorial Corner at turn 6. I have picked that corner name up because of you now, Dan, as he now switches to the inside line, through 6, Moneymon Jr., 3-second time, but knocked around the outside here from Schiaparelli. He's going to be forced into the wall if he's not careful. He's going to get squeezed. He's on the inside line though. He could pull it off. This is brilliant from Schiaparelli. Can he get the move done? He forces Zerdema out wide. Here comes Mashiro as well. Oh, and there's a little bit of contact, and there's Mashiro's going to try and find it down the inside line into the Singapore sling. AlphaTauri against Renault. Schiaparelli through into 8th. Mashiro's trying to hang around the outside through 10-10. That's brilliant stuff from Mashiro. The Division 2 champion is still side by side though, coming across the Anderson Bridge. He's not giving it without a fight, Zerdema. And Mashiro hangs on for 9th position. Brilliant racing between them both. Zerdema has not got a response, or has he? He's now run on the back of Mashiro once again. Could he dive it down the inside? He's dived it too late. Is there contact? Yes, there is. But goodness me, what fighting. Zerdema, I think, might just have to force Mashiro back into play. He made a mistake by himself, made contact with Schiaparelli. Schiaparelli is now 2.5 seconds up the road. As a result, Zerdema now in P9 and Mashiro in P10. I wouldn't be surprised actually if there was a little bit of damage in all of that.
Well, it's not visible out there, but actually I can't confirm. I think he has got damage there, Bashir. He's saying he's got 12% on that front wing, so I think they came together. Let that launch from XL Zenova going down the inside and ultimately not coming off it in the battle for P2. Hardy still chased by Verstappen, and look at where Jojo is. He was 5 seconds back a few laps ago, and now he's with this pairing. This is phenomenal stuff from R4 Jojo, and now he has the two drivers in front right inside then. Hardy still holding back, a frustrated QBR Verstappen, who has launched an advantage over R4 Jojo dissipate, and now he has to look over his shoulder at the Williams and charges. What are you seeing from the back of the field then, James?
Noon's into the pit lane to put a set of wets on. Noon is into the pit lane. He's the first driver into the pit lane onto a set of wet compounded tyre. To be honest, it's going to be very interesting to see if the wets can now close in on the set of inters and whether the time is now, I think, maybe just a couple of laps more.
Well, the rain's certainly coming down very heavily, and there is, to his credit, there is still some standing water out there on the circuit then. I'm not sure if he's seeing it. That was Verstappen getting right up to the rear wing of Hardy. Hardy holds it back for the moment, getting a bit out of shape then. Verstappen is going to chase him down out there on the circuit then. Can't get through for the moment. I'm keeping an eye on Noon's pace relative to the drivers in front. I don't think it's quite wet just yet. It might just be, as you mentioned, a couple of laps more, but the rain continues to come in. And watch you there, heading through Memorial Corner. He closes up on the brakes, but loses out to the apex. So I think at the moment, it's at the very least probably about equal actually. I might see some wet tyres being fed on then. Is anyone going to take that risk then? The wet tyres not much slower if anything. Perpetuum coming to the last two corners. Let's see what it is. The Ferrari is going to stay out, but is anyone going to be brave? Try to get those wets on. This may be the perfect lap then. Noon is not slow at all on those jet blue wall tyres.
No, definitely not. And Noon is actually dropping time as opposed to gaining time on Kuhn Bly, who's ahead of him. 27.9 seconds. I've got to be honest, crossover period will be within the next 5 laps, I would imagine. Noon, if he bottles it into the wall, you can definitely tell it's not wet if he does that. But Papetum leading the way, 7.4 seconds. Out on top from Hardy in second, Verstappen in third, Zhao Zhao in fourth. Pretty much now at the halfway stage here in Singapore. The rain is falling and it's pouring out on track. Zhao Zhao right on the back of Verstappen. Verstappen in turn, right on the back of Hardy. Again for P2, P3, P4. But you are really not surprised that these guys are not going to go for the move in these conditions. They're just going to stay in formation for now. Hardy, Verstappen and Zhao Zhao. 3 great teams, XL, QVR and IFR, going to be doing an out battle. EML, of course, tomorrow night. We're alongside Aidan Carter and Daniel Hoggard, taking you through, of course, the action for that, if I'm not mistaken. Verstappen on the back of Hardy, though, and he's really pressurising Hardy for the move. But he tried once, he failed. Can he try again?
Yeah, he's actually had multiple lunges at Hardy, I've seen, but ultimately none of them have quite come up there. Again, both of them getting way out of shape, heading through turns with Hardy on the entry to the hairpin. Is really struggling for grip then. Verstappen is right underneath of them, but he's not careful, he can lose out the Jaja. Verstappen still charging to Hardy. Is he going to try and lunge? He's seen him going into this corner, but ultimately can't get through further down the road then. Couldn't blind miss past Dobby. I think Dobby made an error. Heading through turn 9 and back goes the Haas driver then. Holding back, still Noon is a little way off the pace, and it's not by much, but it's not going to be wet, it's just yet then.
He's lost 3 seconds, actually.
Yeah, he definitely has. That's very true. That gap continuing to extend then, so it's not wet just yet. The rain's so heavy though, is anyone going to try and take that gamble sometime soon then? That's battle for P2. Rages on. It's XL Hardy who's been under increasing pressure from this duo behind. QVR Verstappen with a tighter line into turn 22, just about keeps it together. On the overtake, he was running, holds it together then. Verstappen chasing in Hardy. The rain's so heavy now. Surely it's wet sometime soon. Noon's now chasing down Dobby, or at least matching him. So is it going to get to that point then? Looks like the Wets are coming back into play then. Is anyone going to dodge that pit lane? Try and get an undercut. They're all staying out and into the road, but now Noon is making up the time that he lost earlier.
He is making up the time he lost earlier. I think we've just seen the crossover period possibly, maybe on this lap, out on track between the wets and the inters. It's going to be quite tight towards the end of this race as Verstappen nearly struggles coming through turn 5. Dobby then is going to be the first, I think, to come in to a set of wet compound of tyres. He's made 8 laps on that set of inters, so you would imagine that it's now going to be heavy rain pretty much to the end of this race. Jaja nearly shoves Verstappen through the corner there at turn 7. Papetum, though, is just pulling away. It's effortless out in front from the German. He's hardly breaking sweat, and he's leading the way by 9.1 seconds. Hardy in second, Verstappen third. Jaja, though, is right on the back. It's one thing to try and get onto the back of a driver. It's another thing to try and overtake, especially when the rain is like this out on track. It's hardly visible coming across the Anderson Bridge. Tries to dive it down the inside, but he doesn't quite pull off the Felipe Massa move like he did earlier on in the race. Hardy, though, was under pressure from Verstappen. Again, Verstappen in that second phase coming out the corner. Hardy is just quicker on the exit slightly, and that gives him enough time to fend off the pursuers and to fend off Verstappen and Jaja for now. But it's important to recognise Dobby into the pit lane, full wet compound of tyre. Noon into the pit lane, full wet compound of tyre. Papetum still pulling away though. It's 10 seconds now. The gap is pulled out a second on Hardy over this lap alone. And Papetum, is he going to come into the pit lane? Yes, he is.
So this is now the crossover period in the race. I wonder if any of this trail behind is going to follow him in, or if they're going to stay out themselves. And Hardy getting around. He also is going in, and Verstappen staying out then. And Jojo, so it's Verstappen is taking that risk. Jojo with a penalty then heading into the pit lane. And now things are all square. They're all legal off in this battle. Perpetuum will emerge to the pit lane then. He'll be comfortably clear, but now it's up to Verstappen to put a stunning inlap to the intercylinder grip within him. Can he make it work then? Now Jojo and Hardy, they're going to emerge then. They're going to get a fresh set of wets on then. Try and go through then. The rain quite heavy indeed then, but Verstappen and Chapelele staying out then. Perpetual on the back of Chapelele. That's a very good indication then as to how much pace these wets are going underneath him. Verstappen's taking a huge gamble. Can he make it work then? It could be P2, P3, P4. If he puts in a stunning end lap, it could work then. Chapelele under pressure, but Perpetual looks a little bit quicker. I think it's at the very least equal, but if Verstappen, he may be able to pull off that. 13 seconds he's got behind him. If he puts in a stunning end lap, he can jump ahead.
No!
Hardy's in front of Jojo. What do you see further back in the field, James?
Kuhn Bly's onto a set of hards. Kuhn Bly is onto a set of hard compound of tyres, and it's an absolute disaster for the Dutchman. Oh my goodness me. I think it's probably to do with the game as opposed to him actually making a mistake. And that is nearly a puncture coming out of the pit lane from Kumbla. He's just going to let these guys through. I don't blame him, to be honest. And that is such an absolute shame for Kumbla. He could get around the pits out in front ahead of Moneymon, who's into the pit lane as well. But Kumbla down in 13th position. Absolute disaster out on track. And I feel so sorry for him. Fastest lap, by the way, still Jaja with a 1:38.5. That was, of course, set on a set of soft compound tyres. So he has the fastest lap currently. I know we're getting some commands there in the chat. Thought I'd best show you on the screen. We haven't set up the YouTube bot tonight, so blame us.
I think the two of us, we are unable to really operate without Tom helping us out. That he babysits us, there's no doubt about that. QPR Verstappen heading to the pit lane now. He's actually put in a really good in-lap then, because he has pulled out from Shabalili behind, just keeps it clean on the pit entry as well. If he really nails this, he may be able to stay at least in front of Jojo, so let's see what he has in store. Jojo as well is attacking Hardy. Hardy running wide into turn 19 and now to the outside. Jojo drifting through the turn as Hardy, and this holding these guys back. This could give Verstappen a chance, and he needs it. If he can make this work to the pit lane, gets those tires exchanged, pulls out now, and heading down Shabalili is still out there. He's got for Petcham, lighting up then like a cat, hunting down his praise. Can he get alongside? It's Lyle running out of turn 3, gets alongside him, and can't quite get through. Further up the road then, Verstappen emerges then, almost side by side with Hardy now, Judging around the outside, makes caught down, and round goes Verstappen. The Alpha was pitched to the inside line. Petcham moves to the inside line. The Shabalili's still out there for me. He just holds on to the car as he spears across out of turn 6. But Verstappen, oh my, just getting out of contact then. I think Jojo thought he was clear. Verstappen thought he could go on the inside then. They fought for the same piece of tarmac, and ultimately Verstappen came off worse on the inside line. Now behind Matthias, you have to feel gutted for him after being in a hunt for P2. Now they're in a P7. He's got so much work to do. He's still in there, so he's a full safety car deployed then in this race now. Oh my word!
What for?
I don't know. I think maybe someone hit the wall and got damaged, but no one's out of the race, James. I'm puzzled, quite frankly, by what's happened out there on the road then. So Perpetuum is still out then. Chapelin will get a chance to come in now from those enters. Kumbla, is he still on the lead lap actually? Yes, he is. So is Moneymon, so they'll still be within contention then. That's really throws things open, and all of a sudden the tremendous lead that Perpetuum has was wiped out. Now Hardy Jojo with him. It's all to play for as we get into the final laps then. Perpetuum's lead wiped out. Can he pull it out back again though? He needs the race win to establish authority in the championship. But Hardy Jojo lays it out at P5. I'm going to be right with him. Can they find a way through? Perpetuum though has looked so quick. Chapolin out to go to the pit lane. He's been saved now. He's got a major lifeline in the Singapore Grand Prix.
He has indeed, but all of the guys are on fresh, wet compound of tyres out on track. And that could mean they're getting to the end of the race. Chapelelli will have to come into the pit lane. I expect him behind Carlsbury coming out the pit lane, ahead of Mashiro. Of course, these guys have to stick to their delta time. Mashiro, by the way, is only coming through the end of the middle sector. In terms of Carlsbury, he's already coming through turn 18 and 19. Chapelelli then into the pit lane from second position, and the German will be hoping to try and excel out on track. He's got Hardy behind him, of course, but now Chapelelli in to the pit lane. It's a very, very long run to his pit box here in these soaking wet conditions here in Singapore. Rain has not came down heavy as this, certainly in my reckoning, as we see Chapelelli then coming out of the pit lane, and he's going to be behind Carlsbury underneath the safety car, which is the pinpoint position of where I put him out to be. Plenty of P's out on track, but Chapelelli now coming out the pit lane in 8th position, and he's going to be behind Carlsbury off the start. But the crucial thing is wet compound of tyres out on track, and really like big haze coming over the circuit now as well. It's absolutely lashing it down out on track. The worst thing, I've got to be honest and say, the worst thing you could hope for in Singapore, full wet conditions, heavy rain, and a safety car. That could be torturous.
Keeping those tires in the operate window is going to be immensely difficult for all these guys. And Perpetuum most of all, because he's already up behind the safety car. Everyone else has a better time to get them warmed up. The field is quite spread out around here, so it could be a while before we actually get racing underway. And what have you seen from the back, James? And you burst out laughing there.
Have you seen Lando?
Lando's just sitting there. He's just chilling.
He's sitting there.
Wait, he's missing a wheel. What on earth?
He's going around the track on my screen without a front wheel. What on earth is this?
This is physics defying if I've ever seen it here in Codemasters here. It's stranded, as you mentioned, it's stranded on the exit of turn 14. You can see it there on the outer wall. That's where the wheel's gone. That's where it's seen it to this day. And Lando's car still out there. Goodbye, no, he's done it again. He's thrown intermediates. What on earth?
No.
The rain continues to lash it down. Maybe he knows something that we don't about the conditions, but Goodbye's going in. Has he found the wrong tyres again? I've never seen someone. I've seen people make this blunder, but not twice in the same race. Kublai's still out at the end.
Gotta be the game.
No grip then. They run across. I think it has to be the game. Then Kublai, that's so unusual. He can get fresh tyres on. He can get on the rear of the field as well. But they're going to have several laps when we get underway. The field is so spread out here in Singapore.
It's also saying, by the way, that Lando has got a puncture on his front right tyre, which he doesn't. That's really strange. He's retired, apparently. He's put in the chat. He's retired. So we're seeing him going around 3 laps down. This is absolutely unbelievable. You can just see a big line on my screen coming out of the rear of the car. The front wheel has pretty much been dragged around the circuit underneath the map of the circuit. I have never seen anything like this in my commentary career. It's as simple as that. This is esports ready. You've got to be having a laugh. Come on.
What? I'm lost for words at this. I like you, I've never seen anything like this. Lando stuck in the midst of the field there. His AI car still driving for him. And, yep, still 3 wheels of the car then. I have no idea how he's still going about then. Yeah, it's physics defying all the way through. That goes the racing point.
I'm looking at the task system as well. Front left compound tyre, 100%. Lando's tyre's 4%, but it's showing as a puncture on the front right. And then his rear right tyres are 4%. He's in AI mode.
I can't say this is the most high quality commentary under a safety car that you've seen, but we can only point this out. We're baffled, both of us, by what we're seeing in front of our eyes here. Excellent Lando. Of course, he won't have much of a figure in this race with the racing point. Of course, going out early on his connection, clearly causing us. He really needs. Honestly, we're Lando. Yeah, he left the session, but he really needs to get this sorted out because this is nothing short of absurd. Then
I think.
Oh, go on, James.
I was going to say, I think we've seen something different, actually, possibly from Lando. We saw him leave the sessions. We saw him basically disconnect on our screen from the session. He's saying he retired just before the rain came, and hence why he left. So he left after he retired. But on our screen, he's still being shown as classed within the results in 15th position. So, honestly, Lando's position out on track, well, he's down in 15th position, he's retired out of the race, we can just clarify that now. The rest of the field, however, is still going round, luckily, in all their human forms. But, you never know what could happen in 11 laps worth of racing.
One thing to point out, Kumbai is actually, well, despite the monsoon-like conditions we have in Singapore, he's staying out on the enters. He might be confident that he can maybe keep these in the upright window, and he may have an advantage of tyre temperature on the restart initially, but after that, I'm not sure if we'll be able to hold on to it then. There is so much standing water on the circuit now. Kumbai, if he can make this work, then credit to him, but I'm not sure if this is going to be the best strategy to run with. Kumbai is going to be a while before he gets onto the back of the train. We'll at least get another lap on the safety car as the leaders come over the line now. Perpetual leads the way. The 2 cars might have had penalties. Lasers at P4. He's in a good position then. What else do we see further down the field there, James? What more dramas do we have in the Singapore Grand Prix? Schiaparelli
was warming up his tyres. I thought he went into the wall there. Coming out of the pit there. Coming along the pit wall. But I'm not sure. I don't think he's picked up any damage as a result. Looking at the task system, no, he hasn't picked up any damage at all out on track. Kumblai, I think, in terms of his strategy, he's not going to catch the safety car, I don't think. He's miles behind in terms of the safety car. These guys are going quick enough to not let Kumblai join onto the back. But the main advantage for Kumblai is, if he stays out on those tyres, it's going to light up the rain, I would imagine, within the next few laps. It's going to be inters towards the end of the race, and then you're going to see, really, a bit of a mix-up. Are you going to see drivers committed to the end on the wet compound tyres, or are you going to see them pit in for set of intermediate, and then Kumblai in 14th position, hopefully going to be trying to deliver a big race out on track? Just looking at... Mark's just put a comment in. James, when he sounds surprised, makes the same noise as when you touch a cat when it doesn't expect it. Good God. Anyways, Perpetuum under the safety car, leading the way, and I think the safety car will probably come in this lap.
Kublai has bailed out on that strategy by the way, and he is in to the pits yet again in this race. Then this will be his fifth pit stop.
It's Inters again.
In a race, it's Inters again. What on earth is going on here, James? He's going in. He's getting a wing change, that's why, but he's still committed to the intermediate strategy. I'm not sure if the race can go on without him. Everyone else is bunched up then. Over the line, we will get back to racing on this lap. Kublai's isolated. This bizarre strategy is not going to pay off, and he surely has no way of getting back into the race now.
Which is such a shame. He is into the pit lane, and looking at our screen, he's got 3 seconds worth of penalties. Moneymon has got 14 seconds worth of penalties as well, out on track. He's made 5 pit stops, by the way, out on track. I think he's been through the ringer. He's been on a set of softs, mediums, hards, inters and wets. I think he might be the first driver in TTML history to ever go on the 5 compounded tyres within a race. Absolutely unreal. But anyways, Perpetuum underneath the safety car. Matthias has had a collision with Laser underneath, and there's all sorts of carnage coming in through turn 17. What on earth has happened? Matthias is trying to let people through. Lando's AI is just dragging that wheel around still. Perpetuum about to get underway. Moneymon Jr. has gone into the back of Noon. And again, like I said, underneath the safety car restart, it can be hellish. It can be torturous. And that is exactly what we've just seen. Now everyone's caught back up. But now, Perpetuum says go. And Perpetuum now is going to set about to go round the final couple of corners out on track, and now he's going to commit toward the line. 10 more laps to go here in Singapore. Perpetuum leading by a second, and he's got a big gap over Hardy. Zhao Zhao now looking to the inside line, trying to get the move done. Doesn't quite get the move done. The Dane right on the back of the Brit, but we are back underway now. Moneymon Jr. 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane, and he retires into the pit lane as well. Disaster for the American out on track. Perpetuum, though, has really kept them tyres really warm out on track. He's got the best tyres, and he's already 1.6 seconds clear. He could be 2 seconds clear by the end of Sector 2.
He is storming away at the moment, and he's nearly 2 seconds away already. So to the front goes the Ferrari, and Hardy, just like earlier, is unable to lift with the crushing pace the German has to offer then, as Moneymon out the section altogether then. But look at for Zhao Zhao. He's had to put up a recovery drive after getting that wing change in the pit lane. He fights up towards XO Hardy, who just about holds it back. For the time being, Laser now has a penalty to his name. Both he and Matthias further down the order, they got penalties within that chaotic period underneath the safety car. Still holding down P2 at the gap, 2.3 seconds. Zhao Zhao to the inside line, not quite, but he is ever threatening, then ever present, and still Hardy holding on. He's done a remarkable job of keeping a hold of P2, but for how much longer can he hold that? To the inside line, he looks again, Zhao Zhao. But still, can't get himself alongside, and no DRS to help him out, and still out to follow in the wake in the spray of the Renault in front then. The gap stretching 2.6 seconds, 2.8 seconds. It goes in all the time. That's one of the most astonishing laps, and it's like Michael Schumacher in Spain 1996, the way he's filling away from the field then. Well clear at the moment. Nearly 3 seconds clear then. Storming away, and no one in the field has an answer to it. Perpetuum just driving away like they're in a separate category at the moment.
It's really impressive, certainly from Perpetuum. 3 seconds the gap. Are we seeing a possible champion's performance here tonight in Singapore with 9 laps to go in Singapore, and it's 3 seconds the advantage at the end of lap 22. Perpetuum leads on to lap 23. 3 seconds the gap over Hardy. Zhao Zhao, the man we're on board with, in third, and the Dane trying to trouble Hardy into play. Hardy, I thought, might have had damage, possibly, but he hasn't. He's just dropping time. He hasn't got those tyres up to temperature at all. Neither's Zhao Zhao, and these guys have just been held up in a bit of a concertina and a bit of a wash effect out on track. Verstappen on the back of Laser as well, running down. But look at the spray. You can hardly see the driver in front of him unless you come underneath the bridges here in Singapore. And now Verstappen right on the back of Laser, not closing up enough. Noon, though, on the back of Zerderma, now to the inside line. Can he try and get the move done? He commits it down the inside line. He gets the move done. Red Bull through on the Renault, XL on XL, and he's through into 10th.
Sure, we're going to be next up on the road to challenge. One man that's in a great position at the moment is Calsbury. Every single driver in front of it, bar Perpetuum, has a penalty to their name, and he is sitting in that train with Zhao Zhao unable to get through on the Renault in front of Verstappen with a penalty as well. Zhao Zhao's got Hardy lined up to Thunder, and he dives it late to the inside line. Wins alongside Renault. Can he get through it last then? He forces him out towards the cab, but Hardy's not giving up just yet then. Parallel towards 14, and they almost touch. Zhao Zhao just in front. Hardy on the inside they cannot fight back. Jojo finally gets the move done then with a courageous move to the inside line. He gets on Hardy at last, but Perpetuum's got 3.5 seconds in hand. Moves clear. Jojo through though. Hardy, you said, it's going to be on the defense from Blazer behind, but Carlsberg's still with it. Has a podium in hand. If he can just stick with that straight, the penalties will come back into his favour. The Ferrari's driven a quiet race and a great race at that. And now he's sitting in P7 with huge potential to jump well over the order here in Singapore.
I thought Hardy just picked up damage there. He got very close to the wall, coming to the left-hander, coming through 17 and then through 18, in fact, through that left-hander. I thought he hit the wall. He didn't. He hasn't picked up penalties. But he's 1.1 seconds off the back of Jojo. It's now 8 laps to go. Perpetuum leads. Jojo second. Hardy third. Laser fourth. Verstappen in 5th position. Matthias 6th. Carlsberg, as you say, in 7th. In a really promising position out on track. There's drivers with 3, 6, 5 seconds worth of penalties as well around him out on track. And now Verstappen on the back of Laser. Could he try and get the move done? Laser is not close enough though on the back of Hardy, so therefore he's not going to get any DRS really out on track. Well, it's going to be no DRS. What am I on about? Laser in 4th position, Verstappen in 5th, Matthias in 6th. Look at Chapelelli on the back of Carlsberg. He really closes up now and he's joined the frame. Mashiro Noon not too far off either, but Perpetuum dominating out in front. The gap has stabilised though out in front, I've got to say. 3 seconds of the gap over Jojo at this moment in time, and there is the Ferrari currently there in first. Jojo in second, Hardy in third. Gap is coming down. I wonder if Jojo is beginning to push maybe. He's got ERS at 86%. Perpetuum at a similar level as well at 84% coming across the Anderson Bridge. But Perpetuum now looks to me maybe the first sign that Jojo is beginning to get quicker than him.
Well, the gap certainly not much in it at the moment, then fluctuating all the time, just under 3 seconds at the moment, but Jojo certainly has some very impressive web pace. He has left Hardy for dead, who to his credit has held back the advances of everyone in behind him, but how much longer can he keep that going? Laser behind it, Verstappen looking to try, and George Chapelelli on Carlsberg, who looks to be getting to struggle now in that Ferrari then. I mentioned his promising possession, but he's not been able to stay on the back, then further back down the order, then to the outside of Mashiro, Mashiro back in the inside, is going to force him away then, but doesn't give it up then. Relentless pressure for the Red Bull. Sees him through the inside lane. And Nora underneath the grandstands in. Up against the wall. Mashiro somehow still side by side. They make contact through turn 19. Oh no. Into the wall now. Mashiro taps it round and fake through that part of the track. It's only going to have one outcome. So unfortunate. They come together. Noon now dropping back. Chapelelli now attacking. Carlsberg not quite in turn 1 though. Hardy now with a penalty is going to now swing things even further towards the chasing pack then. Jojo with 3 seconds up in front. Hardy with 6 seconds is losing out to Laser only just then. Carlsberg still with him. What chaos these final laps then. Noon into the pit lane then. You have to feel for him. Isolated at the back, he's pretty much set on P12 now unless someone else goes out in front then. Up in the front, the Perpetuum still leads, but Jojo coming back at him 2.5 seconds. The Williams has pace, but is it now just too little too late? The Perpetuum still has that.
Oh, Chapelelli! Chapelelli's into the back of Carlsberg! He's into the back of Carlsberg, running down in towards turn 6. Carlsberg sent round, and he luckily actually didn't make a kind of contact. Carlsberg then is still in 7th position. Not sure if Chapelelli picked up damage as a result of that. How on earth has he not picked up damage from that rear ending right in towards turn 6? It's Memorial Corner. Chapelelli is one lucky man out on track.
I am gobsmacked. How on earth he went into him at such velocity, and somehow both of them still pretty much
oh my god!
Into the wall, losing an end play at last then as love finally runs down the Williams, who looked so promising earlier on. Slips back, their incidents now picking up in his final laps, and the Williams dropping back. Zana will cruise to the inside line and get up into P8 then. He also moves up, but Chapelelli coming and bolting late on then. He goes past the stricken tire of Excel had to win a turn 14. There he goes, down to 9th place, and Mashiro and Toei will benefit then. Heartbreak for both him and Noon then on the last laps. Carlsberg compromised as well. Up in the front there, Perpetuum still leads, but Jojo's pace is incredible. Poulsen is still chasing race victory out then. If Perpetuum gets a penalty, that's still over. 1.7 the gap. Jojo chasing him down. 6 laps to go. Can he somehow pull it back? Then can he get to him? Perpetuum pulled away on the restart, but the Williams railing about all the time and working his way right back into this race and in the banner up at the front of the field.
Cosbury into the pit lane as well. I think he picked up damage as a result. In fact, he's gone onto a set of inters. So Cosbury in, onto a set of inters. Schiaparelli retires. He could have came in for a set of inters because they would have been quicker at this point, I think, in the race. Disappointing from Schiaparelli. He leaves the session as well. Lando's AI car is still going round. He's 8 minutes behind out on track on my screen. Perfettum not leading. Zhao in second. Hardy third. Laser fourth. Verstappen in fifth. But Cosbury has risked it for a chocolate biscuit out on track. Or a bourbon biscuit or custard cream. Whatever your passing fancy is for a biscuit out on track. We're not getting into a biscuit chat, are we? Perfettum leading the way. Zhao in second. Hardy in third. Laser in fourth. But that's very, very good from Cosbury, I think. 13.6 seconds. I think the crossover period's going to come probably on lap 29, I would say. The rain looks like it's stopping nearly out on track. It's still raining, obviously, but it's at pretty much interlevels. This track will dry up quick out on track. And Perfettum, as Kumbla gets out of the way, Cosbury is staying at a very similar pace to Dobby at this moment in time. Zhao catching. I wonder if these guys are going to come in for a set of inters before the end of the race, or if they're committed. If I was in their shoes, I'd be looking at that Cosbury time and thinking to myself, 13.5 seconds, gaining on Dobby, come in for a set of inters.
Well, let's see. I think that pit stop gap, but don't forget, it is a very hefty pit lane loss around this circuit. But Carlsberg, now the intermediate's coming into play. He is fading back already. The crossover seems to be coming early. And so one of these guys is going to come through. Are they going to dive in early? This transition can only keep going. Perpetual from the front stays out. Is anyone in this train going to take that gamble? Hardy only on a P3 in front then. Is anyone going to take that risk? And there are gaps to be made to make up. And Verstappen's going to bite the bullet then. Diving in early then. Is going to go ahead. Get it all stopped and turned in for the pit lane. He's going to put enters on now. And that's ready to come to fruition. Carlsberg and Dobby. 12.5. 12.6 now, just stabilising at the moment there. Matthias now with a penalty himself at the moment. I don't think the enters are slower anyway, and Carlsberg working his way back in. Verstappen with enters on. Can he make up that pit loss time? You have to say there are only a few laps left. If you don't come in this lap, it might not be worth it. So some of these guys may want to stay out then. Perpetuum leads the way. Jojo chasing him down all the time. Then 1 second now. This comeback from Jojo has been incredible. Can he get away? So Perpetuum still in control though. The Ferrari just has to see it through, but this race is not over yet.
Verstappen nearly side by side as well with Cosbury. Verstappen is ahead of Cosbury, and that is crucial. Cosbury, Mark has just said, could win this. He could win it, but the gap, crucially, 36 seconds out on track. It's not enough at this stage. If Perfettum and Zhao were to stay out another 2 laps, I think, it would be within volition that Verstappen and Cosbury could actually win this one. And this could be the biggest fortune change in the history of TTML Season 3, and maybe even TTML as a whole, as Perfettum is leading the way. Zhao in second. Lando's AI car, by the way, has came into the pit lane for 7 inters, even though he's still missing a wheel out on track. Perfettum is leading the way, but Zhao in second position, 9/10 of a second behind on the back of the German. The German is under pressure. Are they going to bite the bullet? Are they going to pit in? Look at the gap for Verstappen. Now 9 seconds out on track. 8.9, 8.8. Pretty much through every corner he goes, he's getting quicker and quicker and quicker out on track. Perfettum and Zhao currently leading the race. I did say 34 seconds now the gap. It's came down by 2 seconds since the last time I mentioned it. Perfettum and Zhao are staying out another lap. Are they committed to the end of the race? Cosbury and Verstappen are going to be committed to the end of the race on a set of inters. Personally, Matthias is in.
Yeah, but he's coming in the Red Bull driver, so now everyone is going to be making a bullet then. Zanima stays out there, but a contrast and strategy calls. Verstappen, though, continues to hound down that gap in front, but it's going to be too little too late to make up that pit stop loss. 4 laps to go, there's still time left in the race. I think these guys have to stay out there, otherwise they're losing out for sure. Now they're just going to have to stick it out there, though. But
oh my God, I'll tell you what.
Matthias coming through there. What is it, James?
I think Verstappen, looking at the rate of closure currently out on track, these times are only going to get quicker and quicker out on track. I think Verstappen, 31.7 seconds might seem quite high out on track. I'm going to bite the bullet and say Verstappen's going to close up. I think he's going to get top 5 at least, but can he get the win?
Well, it will certainly need probably a miracle, but If that rain continues to ease off, when it is doing, it's considerably later than just a few laps ago. Watch the gap in front now to the lead, and it's 31 seconds dead at the moment, 30.9. And now it begins to clock its way down, 30.8 now, 30.7 the gap, down all the time, but is it going to be too little too late? And he may be able to get up to where he was before. He was up for top 5, so if he gets Zerdimer, at the very least he's not lost out for this, and he's got plenty of time to close that gap down as well. But he's considerably quicker, maybe 5 seconds a lap quicker at least, and the race leaders, can he get that gap down? For Pension, by the way, it's rallied in the last few laps. 2 seconds clear. He looks to the race lead, looks to the race win at the moment then. Moving clear, Jojo. Those two I think are safe, maybe from a charge for Verstappen, but I think everyone else is in that danger zone now. He's 29 seconds out of the race and he's caught 2 seconds in just the middle centre alone. Can't he all the time? Can Verstappen pull this off? The most unlikely strategy coming through. But Calsbury, don't rule him out either, because he's still with Verstappen. He doesn't have penalties. He's matching his pace at the moment, sticking within him. And so he can maybe benefit even more. Ferrari now for Milk, and now they're still got behind Tommy to the middle set, to the last centre of the track. It's critical they get past as soon as possible here. Tommy with less grip, pulling these guys back at P7.
He's gonna have to go for it.
Verstappen at turn 22, goes brave to the inside line, through goes Verstappen now, up at a P7 and now Carl's right now to follow through then. The end is so much quicker in the wet, so much grippier, the rain's almost stopped. Carl's very alongside, through on Tommy with just 3 to go, these guys now gaining up towards the back from Mashiro now isolated. Verstappen onto the back of him now, the intermediate's coming alive here, Verstappen on Mashiro, it's like a multi-class event then. He sits,
he's into the back of him!
I didn't want to him. No. Verstappen comes to blows. Now Calsbury goes to the Verstappen's to the left. He knows the mistake. He's got damage as well then. Calsbury, the hope for the intermediate runners. He's in with a great shot here for podium. Can he pull that gap down? With 3 to go to Verstappen though coming through. He had to wheel so bad. That's heartbreaking for Verstappen. Then in the P9. Damage can hold it back then. That strategy just doesn't work in the end for the Alfa Romeo.
Just looking, by the way, in terms of the comparisons, lap 27, Verstappen out on track was around 16 seconds, well, I'd say 16 seconds quicker here, but it is 16 seconds quicker. Verstappen quicker than 16 seconds quicker per Petem compared to Verstappen on that lap time out on track. Carlsbury now 25.5. The rain has stopped, by the way.
Completely stopped. Are we going to see slicks maybe in the last few laps? Let's see how this is. The pendulum going to swing again. Let's see what the wet runners are going to have to do.
Verstappen side by
tires
side.
are going to solve these. Verstappen in a tiny machine.
Trying to go around the
inside. On turn 14. Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri side by side. Verstappen with leg damage. Still has the grip to go around. Up in a 7th place then. Fading tooth and nail for everything out on track then. What are the race leaders going to do then? For Pendulum staying out. But maybe it could go to slicks. I'm not sure. We've still got now 2 laps to go in the race. It may not be slicks to the end, but now the enders will start to, they're not in the rope rank window either. The track's a little bit down, but it's going to dry up then. So the wet runner's still out then, holding on then. Calsbury chasing down. The wet tires going to start overheating, maybe even getting close to puncture territory, even with little wear they've got on them. Perpetuum in front. He's fine on tires at the moment, but they're going to start grading where it's going to pick up then, and they're going to start overheating, and Calgary chasing down. They can at least get out of her off our top 5 and with the penalties of the guys in front. He's going to top 3 now, and they want to run to the podium. This would be for the Ferrari.
Laser's got damage, right side end plate damage for Laser out on track. I think Carlsbury as well. Verstappen just going, that's Kuhnblai actually going side by side with them. Carlsbury hasn't got any damage. Verstappen has left side end plate damage and right side. Mashiro has also got damage, as well as Noon out on track. So there's the damage update really. Carlsbury, I don't think, is going to win this at all now out on track. I know Lenny is trying to big up my hopes, but he's not. It's as simple as that. 21.7 seconds is not enough to get to the end of the race. Watch me now be completely wrong. And the big thing is, in this point actually, Carlsbury out on track. He is gaining on these guys ahead. Zernimer and Laser. Zernimer is right on the back of Laser actually, coming across the Anderson Bridge once again. Now Carlsbury is there. Carlsbury's going to pick up a top 3, surely out on track, despite the penalties in front of him. Carlsbury now 19.7 seconds away. I don't think this is enough. It reminds me of Dill Warren back in the day, and then Carlsbury down the inside line of Zernimer. Zernimer's on the outside line. He's going to have to go for it though, Carlsbury. He's now committed to the move, and now with the fresher tyres he's through. And that is great stuff from Carlsbury. He gets one. Hardy is spun, and Carlsbury slowed up. Laser's got a puncture, I think. Oh, he's got damage actually on the right side, end plate damage, and Carlsbury's through, and he's into 3rd. And now he's clear of the traffic. 19.5 seconds to gain. I think it's impossible to pull off, but the way he is closing, the way he is beginning to bring into this race, do not rule him out. Final race, DRS now enabled out on track, swinging like a pendulum. This race, Perpetuum leading the way, Jojo in second, Carlsbury is in third, he's 18.1 seconds off, and I think as Zerdeman is going to go for the move on Laser, running down the straight in towards turn one. Zerdeman now through on Laser. What a crazy, crazy race this has been here in Singapore. Matthias now through on Verstappen. These intermediates really coming into play. Mashiro has got damage. He's been passed by Dobby as well. Goodness me. And I think Jojo really struggling. He's 8 seconds off now on the back of Perpetuum, and Perpetuum leading the way. Jojo really struggling out on track. Carlsbury 16.7 seconds off. He's not going to gain. The track is dry now out on track. How quickly has that came? Hardy and Kuhn blind now. Hardy could come out the pit lane and actually swamped the likes of Noon and Mashiro possibly out on track. What a race this has been. And Perpetuum is surely going to come all mad in front of us. Matthias is right on the back of Laser coming across the Singapore sling. And now he's into P4.
Oh my word! Here goes Matthias, and Carlsbury is now in range of Jojo almost then.
Oh my God!
So rapidly then, up 12 seconds on the race. He won't catch Perpetuum, but he has got P2 in hand now, Carlsbury. For 7 to move past Edinburgh, who slips in the last lap then, to the inside now. And he goes the Laser as well then for 7, logical Laser. Gets into the top 5 then, moving through this race, completely turned on its head. Perpetuum will survive the chaos, driving through. Carlsbury's called Jojo now. On the circuit, Jojo with nothing to defend. I tell you,
he's gonna go for it.
He's going to go for it. It doesn't matter. He's got a penalty anyway. The Williams just holding him back now.
Gonna get him now. Surely go on. Yes.
Perpetuum will make the way
corner.
just in front, and he crosses P1. Carlsbury comes through with Ferrari. One, two, extraordinarily. Perpetuum crosses first. One more lap, and that race goes Carlsbury's way. Unbelievable. Perpetuum wins at Carlsbury second. Jojo third, and I'm going to lay down after that race. What a conclusion that was.
My word, race of the season, surely out on track. Laser in 6th, and actually I thought there was Verstappen passing him out on track. Laser across the line in 6th. Zerdemer, Noon in the end has gained ahead of Dobby coming out of turn 21. He is now through, he's into 8th position out on track. Dobby in 9th. Looking at the tyres, by the way, Jajab had 67% worn tyres right at the end of that race. Absolutely shocking. Hardy is not going to get a position. In fact, Hardy's actually run out of fuel. Hardy has run out of fuel out on track, and now he comes through the final couple of corners. A shame for Hardy. He's going to finish in 11th position. He's going to use up as much overtake mode as he can to try and get a fastest lap. He's on 2 minute 24, so he's not going to get it. He's going to absolutely crawl his way to the line. Kuhn Bly has already finished. Lando's AI is still going round out on track as well. Hardy crossed the line in 11th position. He crashes. Lando's AI does not get the chance to finish with 3 wheels. Hardy in 11th position. Luke Etheridge, you missed out on this one, my son. And driver of the day is awarded, crucially and most deservedly, to Carlsbury. Out on track, a phenomenal race in Singapore. The nature of the track really changing, the nature of the conditions changing, but it's one man, one machine at the top of the standings, Perpetuum, and he takes the championship lead.
That was a storming drive, did not put a foot wrong all evening long, and well, his teammate maybe had the more dramatic run to the line. You cannot fault that drive from Perpetuum. Jojo, I think, will be gutted with P3. I think there was potential in there to maybe come in with a race win. Was it to be on this occasion? But that is your podium. All of those drivers have earned their spot then. What a race. I feel very privileged then. It was quite an odd race, it must be said, but what an action-packed one to be there, James.
Goodness me, you should come into the commentary box more often here in Division 1. Luke might be ousted by the end of the season at this rate if the races continue to go like this. But Perpetuum wins out on track. A Ferrari 1-2. When's the last time you sold that in TTML F1? Carlsbury in second in the end. 6.9 seconds. I have no doubt for a mind. 61 minutes out on track this race took. Carlsberry, if this race was 32 laps, Carlsberry would have won. Simple as that. Jojo from Paul in third. He picks up the fastest lap point as well as pole position. Matthias in fourth with Verstappen in fifth. Zerdemer in sixth. Laser seventh. Noon in eighth. Dobby in ninth. Mashiro rounding off the top 10. Hardy in 11th. Kumblai in 12th. Lando 13th. Chapelletti 14th. Monimon Jr. in 15th. Lando, Chapelletti, Monimon. Actually, it's put Lando as a DNF, which I'm very glad about. Kumblai in 12th position, finishing a lap down. What a crazy race. And I think, for the benefit of the drivers, we're not going to have any interviews tonight because they are going to be absolutely shattered after that one.
Over an hour of racing under literally every conditions that could be imaginable. Also, one thing to note, Kumblai, I believe, has made TTML history by using every single compound in the same race. I think he put on the softs right at the end of the race just to try and drive that home, but he does end up getting that record. So props to all the drivers for putting up for that, genuinely. Although there was quite a few laughs to the commentary box from us. I think the race warranted it. Great showing from all the drivers, because that was possibly the most difficult race I've ever seen drivers have to go through. Then every type of condition, it went from dry to wet, from dry to enter to wet to enter to dry. That is just that is phenomenal. Then, so fair play to the drivers for putting up with that. Then, and in the end, Perpetuum's going to leave this race with a big championship lead heading into the final round of the season. Then, of course, a medium pilot not making it. Then the Ferrari takes a hold of the championship lead. Can he hold on to it though in the final 3 rounds?
It is going to be fascinating out on track. Honestly, if you were monitoring the task system, you don't have access to it, of course, as the viewers. But if you were looking at the task system, in that race, I was seeing the weather changing, chopping and changing. I think it got to like 19 degrees at one point in terms of the action out on track. But the track temperature was 27 degrees, the air temperature of 24, pretty much maintained throughout that race, apart from the rain coming down where it got cooler, obviously. But out on track, absolutely unreal racing out on track. I would say let's try and get the top 3 in, but I'm going to give these guys a bit of a rest. We are knackered as well in the commentary box. I've never said knackered as well on a commentary, so that's how tired I actually am at the end of this. But Dan, I'll come across to you for your final thoughts and for your drive of the day.
Well, in terms of driver of the day, I think it has to be Carlsberry. I don't think there's any other option really for that. Perpetuum as well drove fantastically. Both the Ferrari drivers would have earned it, but Carlsberry, from pretty much the rear of the field up to second place, and just for bravery points as well, making that strategy that paid off. Then the flying Ven took some flying result here in Singapore. We'll see him later on. But for my final thoughts, I've got to say it's been a privilege to be alongside you in TTML at Division 1. The first time I've ever commentated on this division, and you've given me quite the introduction, so thank you very much to James. It's always a privilege to commentate alongside someone as talented as yourself. So yeah, that is it for, I guess for me for tonight then. It's been a great race to watch, and I'm going to keep half an eye on how the rest of the season unfolds as well.
It is going to be fascinating. Of course, myself and Luke Etheridge are going to be taking you through the action, hopefully next week. Hopefully he's not working with Northern Rail, I believe, away from work, and that's why he couldn't make it tonight. But I saw him in the chat at the beginning. Really good to see Luke here, and I'm sure he'll digest that race out on track, working the night shift, of course, but doing a fantastic job as always, Mr. Luke Etheridge. And Dan, been a privilege as well, you joining me in the commentary box. You've got a big future ahead as well here in TTML, and I'm sure it is going to be great to see going forward. We have got more action to come for you. Tom would normally put up the graphics at this point, but I'm relying on my own knowledge. EML League 1 tomorrow night. It's 8 PM, if I'm not mistaken. Aidan Carter and Daniel Hoggard taking you through the action. I am right in thinking that, aren't I?
No, actually, he's being joined by Pepsi Freak alongside the commentary box. I'm doing the F2 division. There we go.
Oh, you're doing the F2 division.
we had a bit of a reshuffling, yep.
F1 and F2 then. So Aidan Carter, Pepsi Freak, F1, and then F2 is Daniel Hoggard and an unnamed commentator at this stage as well. Division 2 and Division 3, of course, Daniel Hoggard again popping up on this channel. Goodness me, we can't get rid of him in Division 2. Mike Edwards, of course, joining them alongside in Division 2 as well. Division 3 is Aidan Carter and Conti. Division 4, myself and Paco Suarez should be back in the commentary box as a duo once again for Singapore for Division 4. And then Division 5, James Boyle being joined by a very special new co-commentator. And that man is NSR Pariah. Pariah will be joining the commentary box for Division 5 alongside James Boyle for the final 4 rounds of the season. And I've been granted that, and I know he's been in contact with Maze about it. He's accepted, and he's going to be joining James alongside in Division 5. And then the bandwagon rolls on. Sunday night, of course, is TTML F2, and then we're back at it again, CWC, and then TTML once again. This roadshow never stops, and in terms of the calendar as well, next season, Britain and Japan, rounds 1 and 2 of the championship, gonna be announced. We'll run you through the full calendar when we get the graphics up, of course, but I best leave it here because we'll get kicked off the air otherwise. Thank you so much for watching here in Division 1. Please take care of yourselves in this crazy time that we all live in. And in true Division 1 style, I've been James Head.
I'm a Daniel Hogarth.
Please take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.